"Doesn't your father ever come home?" other children would ask, and Sarah would always take the lead in explaining what a divorce was. "Do you ever get to see him?" "Sure we do." "Where does he live?" "In New York City." "What does he do?" "He writes headlines. He writes the headlines in the New York Sun." And the way she said it made it clear that they ought to be impressed. Anyone could be a flashy, irresponsible reporter or a steady drudge of a rewrite man, but the man who wrote the headlines, the man who read through all the complexities of daily news to pick out salient points and who then summed everything up in a few well-chosen words artfully composed to fit a limited space, there was a consummate journalist, and a father worthy of the name. Once when the girls went to visit him in the city, he took them through the Sun plant, and they saw everything. "The first edition's ready to run," he said, "so we'll go down to the press room and watch that. Then I'll show you around upstairs." He escorted them down an iron stairway that smelled of ink and newsprint, and out into a great underground room where the high rotary presses stood in ranks. Workmen hurried everywhere, all wearing crisp, little squared-off hats made of intricately folded newspaper. "Why do they wear those paper hats, Daddy?" Emily asked. "Well, they'd probably tell you it's to keep the ink out of their hair, but I think they just wear 'em to look jaunty." "What does jaunty mean?" "Oh, it means sort of like that bear of yours," he said, pointing to a garnet-studded pin in the form of a teddy bear that she'd worn on her dress that day and hoped he might notice. "That's a very jaunty bear." They watched the curved, freshly cast metal page plates slide in on conveyor rollers to be clamped into place on the cylinders. Then, after a ringing of bells, they watched the presses roll. The steel floor shuddered under their feet, which tickled, and the noise was so overwhelming that they couldn't talk. They could only look at each other and smile, and Emily covered her ears with her hands. White streaks of newsprint ran in every direction through the machines, and finished newspapers came riding out in neat, overlapped abundance. "What'd you think of that?" Walter Grimes asked his daughters as they climbed the stairs. "Now we'll take a look at the city room." It was an acre of desks, where men sat hammering typewriters. "That place up front where the desks are shoved together is the city desk," he said. "The city editor's the bald man talking on the telephone, and the man over there is even more important. He's the managing editor." "Where's your desk, Daddy?" Sarah asked. "Oh, I work on the copy desk, on the rim. See over there?" He pointed to a big semicircular table of yellow wood. One man sat at the hub of it, and 6 others sat around the rim, reading or scribbling with pencils. "Is that where you write the headlines?" "Well, writing heads is part of it, yes. What happens is, when the reporters and rewrite men finish their stories, they give them to a copy boy. That young fellow there is a copy boy, and he brings them to us. We check them over for grammar and spelling and punctuation. Then we write the heads, and they're ready to go." "Hello, Charlie," he said to a man passing on his way to the water cooler. "Hey, Charlie, I'd like you to meet my girls. This is Sarah, and this is Emily." "Well," the man said, bending down from the waist, "what a pair of sweethearts. How do you do?" Next he took them to the teletype room, where they could watch wire service news coming in from all over the world, and then to the composing room, where everything was set into type and fitted into page forms. "You ready for lunch?" he inquired. "Want to go to the ladies' room first?" As they walked out across City Hall Park in the spring sunshine, he held them both by the hand. They both wore light coats over their best dresses, with white socks and black patent leather shoes, and they were nice-looking girls. Sarah was the dark one, with a look of trusting innocence that would never leave her. Emily, a head shorter, was blonde and thin and very serious. "City Hall doesn't look like much, does it?" Walter Grimes said. "But see the big building over there through the trees, the dark red one? That's the World. Was, I should say. It folded last year. Greatest daily newspaper in America." Well, but the sun's the best now, right? Sarah said. Oh, no, honey. The sun isn't really much of a paper. It isn't? Why? Sarah looked worried. Oh, it's kinda reactionary. What does that mean? It means very, very conservative, very Republican. Aren't we Republicans? I guess your mother is, baby. I'm not. Oh. He had 2 drinks before lunch, ordering ginger ale for the girls. Then, when they were tucking into their chicken a la king and mashed potatoes, Emily spoke up for the first time since they'd left the office. Daddy, if you don't like the sun, why do you work there? His long face, which both girls considered handsome, looked tired. Because I need a job, little rabbit, he said. Jobs are getting hard to find. Oh, I suppose if I were very talented, I might move on, but I'm just, I'm only a copy desk man. It wasn't much to take back to Tenafly, but at least they could still say he wrote headlines. And if you think writing headlines is easy, you're wrong, Sarah told a rude boy on the playground after school one day. Emily, though, was a stickler for accuracy, and as soon as the boy was out of earshot, she reminded her sister of the facts. He's only a copy desk man, she said.